Okay, welcome to our second session of Urban Shadows. This series was organised through the Open Hearth Gaming calendar. If you want to find out more about that, check out openhearthgaming.com. This week, our regular player Zeke couldn't make it, so we have Ethan stepping in as a special guest. Thanks, Ethan. I just want to check, have you had a chance to look at the safety tab and add any lines and veils or other preferences? Or
I did. I don't remember what was on it, so I will look again. But yeah, I have.
So great time for everyone to take another look at that safety tab. Make sure you have an idea what everyone's choices are there. To get started, I'll get you all to introduce yourselves, both you as human players and the characters that you're playing. Tell us your names and pronouns and anything else you want to share. Bearing in mind that with Ethan joining us, we're going to be sharing debts in just a minute. So make sure that you're telling each other enough about your characters for the decisions and questions about debts to make sense. My name is Shane. I don't know if I said that before. I use they, them pronouns. I'll be the MC. And I guess we'll go, let's go right to left across the keeper so we don't put our new player on the spot immediately. Stephen, do you want to introduce yourself and Maximus?
Hello there. I'm Stephen, he, they, and I am playing Maximus, he, him. I believe Shane was the one that described him as gay James Bond. That's basically pretty accurate. I guess it's what's ended up. I am the Sworn. I am sworn to, but also sort of the keeper of a group of wizards. And in the past, my father, who was the previous one in this position before he used that as a leapfrog into the House of Lords, killed a bunch of wizards for trying to defect to maybe Weil to the Fae. Yeah. So there's some bad blood there between me and the people I'm sworn through, too.
Awesome. Thank you. David.
Hi, folks. I am David S., he, him pronouns, and I am playing as Cathy the Spectre. She is in the process of trying to track down the lair of the vampire assassin Cleopatra for two reasons. One is because Cleopatra possesses the dagger that killed Cathy and made her into a specter. And the other is because Cleopatra is also attempting to gain the romantic attention of Cathy's husband in life. So trying to track her down.
David left out the unstated third reason, which is that Cathy is trying to gain Cleopatra's romantic attention, even though she won't admit it.
I don't think Cathy knows that yet. Cathy, yeah, I think...
I don't know.
She doesn't know it, but it's still a motivation.
Yeah.
The people watching on TV, there's deviant art of it.
You know, when Cathy had that monologue about how hot Cleopatra is and why her boyfriend was into her, like, it's pretty clear.
Okay, noted. Thank you. And Ethan, can you tell us about, how do I say this? Vicente?
You know, I'm going to say Vicente because I just clicked from the drop-down button and I did not bother to look up how that's actually pronounced or what language it's from. So I'm going to say Vicente and pretend it's Spanish. He is a fae. He is here because of a conflict with his former mentor, who has some influence and is favored by the Winter Queen, and therefore is quite dangerous to Vicente and anybody else he decides that he doesn't like. Also, he can travel through dreams, which is a problem. Vicente is maybe not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but he's he mostly coasts by on his good looks because he looks like that picture of him, likes to party, likes to hook up with random people, has absolutely zero preferences as to species, gender, age, whatever of those people. As long as they're into it, he's into it.
I get along with Maximus just fine.
Let's see, what else? Oh, yes. Okay, so got rival, who is Ivar, another Fae. So for my court options here, I realize that there is already some fairy court stuff going on, and I'm happy to change these if they don't fit. So I put it was savage and unruly, and the monarch standing is represented by a magical aura, unconcealable by even fairy magics. If those would make more sense being something else, that's fine.
I think that's good. We haven't defined too
Okay.
much about the Winter Queen or what's happening there.
Cool.
Can I ask, when you say that, is it Ivar? Is your
say Ivar, I think.
Ivar is your former mentor. What was Ivar mentoring you in?
That is a very good question. Let's see. What do I do? Well, okay. So my magical stunts here are using illusions to fool the senses, placing targets in a specific emotional state, and changing my shape. So probably something involving that. That does seem like a lot of influencing humans and sneaking around. So probably some sort of agent of my court among humans.
Cool.
Look, we already have power and night spies running around, so if you want to be
all the spies.
Yes.
What was I going to say? And like, what happened a year ago to bring you to the city?
That was when I had like the final falling out with Ivar, and since he has a lot more influence there, I decided to just leave in a hurry.
Right. Okay, cool. Can you tell us a bit just about the mechanical stuff, like what your moves and powers are? I mean, you mentioned your powers, but
okay,
what should we know about what you can do?
So I have read these actually. So I can use all of those. I also have In Our Blood, which is when you mislead, distract, or trick someone from a different circle. You just roll with heart instead of mind, which is good because my mind is 0. And the dish I serve now, when you commit to enacting revenge on behalf of someone, including yourself, wronged by another, you gain +1. That is the only like violent skill I have. So if I have to fight, I will probably use that a lot.
Okay, cool. All right.
I have connections with Wild, obviously. Also a little bit with Mortal and Power. I have a -1 with Night.
Just so you know, you also have access to all those Let It Out abilities, one of which is to summon an elemental storm.
Yes, that is important to know. I just skimmed right over it. Yes, I can summon an elemental storm.
That's cool.
I can also create telepathic links and appear to others as someone I have previously touched. In case shapeshifting into an animal wasn't enough, I can also look like another person.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. So we're going to hand out some debts now. So Ethan, I'll get you to assign a debt to each of the other players. So you'll do 2. and I'll
Okay.
ask each of the other players to assign one debt to you. So, Ethan, do you want to lead off, and then we'll sort of circle back around to you?
Sure. So I'm keeping something hidden on behalf of somebody else from a powerful member of their circle. I don't know which would be more appropriate for that.
Either one, yeah.
Would it make sense for it to be one of your anchors? I'm trying to remember what all of them were.
Well, I think
Not the dagger.
I only have. I think I only put down Thomas as a human anchor, like an NPC.
You have a beloved possession of your youth that has a new owner. I've forgotten. It's in my notes.
That is a music box. I didn't really talk about it much because we already have so many anchors, but yeah, I put down a music box from my childhood as the beloved possession.
Would you have asked me to hide that somewhere for you, or? Let's see.
Yeah.
Alternatively, I could have entrusted you with an important and dangerous task.
No, I think I'm trusting you with the music box because I canonically in my backstory, I'm kind of a girl from the rural English countryside who only just came to the big city in London and was around just long enough to get murdered, and still is very much in over her head. But while I was growing up in the English countryside, maybe I had a real fondness for fairy tales and things like that. That seems like something a girl would do. At least my type. So, maybe I have this weird well, it's not weird. It makes sense. Maybe I kind of view you as in some way emblematic of my childhood sense of wonder that has been just beaten and ground down over the years, and I still see some beauty in you.
Okay, cool.
The question is, who is Vicente keeping your music box safe from in your circle?
It says from a powerful member of your circle. Someone in your night, right? So werewolves or vampires or other ghosts.
Yeah.
I mean, you have some conflict with vampires, like apart from Cleopatra, who's kind of her own thing. There's also, I think, some powerful vampires who are unhappy about your be-in plan. So maybe it's tied to that.
I think so. I'm sorry, unhappy about my what plans now?
Your plan to organize a be-in. We established this in the relationships.
Yep, I see that on that tab, City Hub. Yep. Yeah, so maybe one of the vampire hippie witches. Or maybe the whole cabal of them.
Okay. I will maybe make the powerful vampire hippie witch as an NPC between sessions. I don't think they're too likely to come up today. We'll
That's
see.
Okay.
Cool. Is there do you know, why do you think that this vampire wants that music box?
Well, they're a member of the Night Circle. They already have dealings with the occult. They probably know that I do have things that tether me to the world. And maybe they figured out that it's an anchor of mine.
Yeah.
That fits the setting, right? Like that's something that people would know is like, oh, ghosts have anchors, and when you control the anchor, you control the ghost, sort of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a vampire witch surely could do some terrible magic if they got their hands on one of your anchors. That makes sense.
Right, yeah, they could do the whole salt circle, trap me in it for a year and a day or whatever.
Yeah. All right, so just a reminder, as debts get handed out, you need to record who owes you a debt and what the debt is for, but you don't need to write down who you owe. You may prefer to keep those records as well, but you don't need to. David, we'll just go left to right across the keeper. So now can I get you to hand out a debt to Vicente?
Yeah, I think I've got one left here. Scrolling. Okay, so I've got one starting debt left, so this is going to Vicente. It says, someone or someone's progenitor was involved in your death. They owe you a debt. So it doesn't have to be Vicente directly. It could be a progenitor.
Or your mentor.
Yeah, I was gonna say that my mentor has definitely killed lots of people. I don't know that he killed Cathy directly, but he definitely could have been involved, or he could have killed her directly. I don't know what the. I assume you had something in mind for that, though.
Well, I don't really. I mean, I suspect that Cleopatra may have killed me, but the motive as to why, or if she even did, is undetermined. And if she did, she very well could have been doing it for somebody else, including but not limited to your mentor.
Yeah. So does Cathy know that you're meant? I guess Cathy does know if she knows that you owe her a debt for it. Okay, so Eva somehow involved in Cathy's death. Details. Sounds good. Is that good for everyone?
Yeah, maybe the mentor is friends with Cleopatra, or at least in some way is kind of allied with.
Yeah, I mean, him being involved with vampires and me definitely not getting along with vampires could definitely be part of the reason why we had whatever conflict that we had, which I have not figured out. So that makes sense in multiple ways.
What did you say your mentor's name was again?
Ivar. He's in the NPC tab.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Awesome.
There we go.
All right.
Oh, friendly looking guy. Okay.
Stephen, what debt do you have for Vicente?
Yeah. Someone gives me info about a circle I don't understand. Which could certainly be Vicente. It's definitely dangerous for Vicente to give me info, considering I did also not bring this up, but our other player character who's not here is maybe making a black side for stashing Fae if I ever need to.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I assume that I'm not aware of that. Sure. Yeah, I could be giving you info. It doesn't say what kind of info specifically, but yeah.
That makes sense. That Maximus has Fae informers.
Yeah.
All right.
I definitely will take an interest in the winter court, since we're sort of in a figurative and literal Cold War with them.
Cool.
All right. And Ethan, do you want to offer a debt back to Maximus?
Sure.
So you get one debt you get one debt on me, just to be clear.
Okay. Cool. All right. What important or dangerous task have I entrusted you with, and did you succeed or fail?
What sort of stuff does Vicente want to accomplish here in the city that you would have asked me to do?
Mostly to stop Ivar, but also I was looking at his NPCs and I kind of listened to like half of last session. I didn't get a chance to listen to the whole one, but I know enough to know that there is a missing guy that could be a friend of Ivar's. Or not Ivar's. Could be a friend of Vicente's. I guess he could also be a friend of Ivar.
Okay.
But I doubt it.
Yeah, I think that's still ongoing. But I definitely think if there was like someone you needed, not like I don't mean like euphemistically for like murdered, but if there's someone you needed like silenced before they went to Evar with some of the stuff you're doing. Like that would I think something Maximus could do.
Yeah, that could happen.
I thought I guess so. Like you are trying to get out from under Evar, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm like being stalked by him. Also, like he is definitely up to something. I don't know what it is, but like he's not just here hunting me. I don't think.
Okay.
But whatever it is, it's probably not something I want him to do.
Yeah, I think maybe you did then ask me to try to break into one of his sites or base or like places of power in the city, and I think it actually would be super interesting then if I failed and he knows that I am interested in his sites. So I'll owe you another debt.
Okay, cool.
Interesting. All right. So I think that's everything that we need to get like playing. Does it anything anyone wants to ask or check or yeah, anything else before we get started? All right.
I'm good.
So I think that I would like to frame a scene, and if this works for you both, Stephen and Ethan, we know that Maximus comes to Vicente for information about, Wild. We know that Maximus is trying to track down this missing Anthony, thinks that there's a Fey link to that. I think it makes sense that we'll just start by framing a scene where Maximus meets Vicente to ask what you might know about that. Vicente, I don't think you really do know anything about that. You may or may not, want to use that to try and convince Maximus to do something that's useful to you anyway, but yeah, or help investigate or whatever you decide. My pitch for framing this scene, because you both have described your characters well, so Maximus likes to go to gay sex clubs, Vicente likes to hook up with lots of random people. My pitch is that you're meeting at a sex club, mainly for werewolves, but certainly to whoever. I imagine that, out that way, there's a big sort of backroom maze, dark situation where people go to turn into wolves and fuck. But the part that you're in now, more like the bar or lounge, there's lots of cruising, lots of very hairy, humanish looking people with towels around their waists, etc. Does that sound okay?
Yep.
Sure.
All right. Well, Maximus, what do you say to Vicente?
Well, I mean, Maximus is, of course, also in a towel.
Of course.
I think we can see a lot of scars over his torso. I have a proposition for you, Vicente. Not of that sort tonight.
Oh, well, that's too bad. What sort is it?
I'm looking for information related to... Are you aware of this drug that has been circulating? And it's something that fictionally we also didn't bring up. There's like a sort of, I guess, maybe sort of LSD, except it like temporarily moves you into the realm of the Fae while you're on it. That's the drug I'm referencing, just so you know.
I've heard of it. I haven't had a chance to try it.
I'm looking into someone a friend of mine who was involved in it to some degree, and he's recently gone missing. And I forget who's this NPC's name. It's been a
I think
while.
it's Anthony.
Yeah,
Anthony's
Anthony.
missing. Yeah.
Wait, Anthony's missing? No, I know who.
I
unless there's
know.
another Anthony.
He didn't ask you. You should have noticed when he didn't come by to ask you for money.
Now that you mention it, it has been a couple weeks, at least.
I've been by his place, and it's a dead end. But I know with your connections, you might be able to scare up information that I couldn't.
Yeah, I can ask around, but yeah, no, it's strange that I normally do know about drugs, but this one like I said, I've not even seen anybody on it that I know of.
Is there an exchange of debts that's happening here? Are you,
I have no debts that I can cash in.
No, I don't.
Well, then I think that you're going to owe a debt or another debt to Vicente if Vicente agrees to. When you do someone a favor, they owe you a debt.
Oh, I'm just collecting all the debts. I can use those for something useful, can't I? Oh no, I didn't take that move.
So there's debt. What you can do with debts is in the debt and city moves tab. If you want to
Yeah, the main things are that you can you can spend them for bonuses. You can also like force me to answer questions honestly and ask me for favors.
Cool.
Yeah.
And if you spend a debt, you get to mark the an XP track for that circle they belong to.
Okay.
Is that the end of the negotiation? Should we wrap up the scene?
I mean, I guess we might as well. Now getting to other business. I can still proposition you the other way if you want.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, let's activate our intimacy move.
All right.
Maximus, why don't you go first? Well, does this count as intimate? Does hooking up in a sex club trigger Maximus's intimacy move? Genuine question.
That's a good question.
Oh. I
mean, maybe not with a stranger, but with someone like Vicente that you know, or maybe
I don't know. I was actually thinking, would I be intimate with Vicente? Because he is a fae, and that basically does mean that he's like, possibly a spy for the other side.
Do you want some time to think about it?
Sure.
All right. Well, what about Vicente? Is it intimate for you to hook up with Maximus? I mean, there is a mechanical bonus.
It depends on how good a time Maximus has.
My impression is that Maximus probably does have a good time. Like I think Maximus is like good at sex. That's my assumption anyway. And just like knows.
Thank you for that impression, Shane. Thank you.
Knows what he likes.
Then yes.
Sure, I'll say yes. So when I share a moment of intimacy, physical or emotional. So see, I don't have to be emotionally intimate here.
Okay, but I don't think sex is necessarily always physical.
Okay. With another person, tell them if they matter more than your oath. If they do, mark 1 corruption and hold 1. They can spend the hold at any time to summon you to your location. Oh no, sorry, Vicente, you definitely don't.
No.
All right.
I can demand a
but
promise.
you mark
See,
wild.
so I said I triggered it, but nothing still happened on my end.
But you do mark wild, right? Intimacy.
Yes, I do mark wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. And what's your intimacy move, Vicente?
When you share a moment of intimacy, physical or emotional, demand a promise from them. If they refuse you or break the promise, they owe you a debt. Let's see. How do I get yet another debt?
You just get the promise right now. You don't
Right.
get.
Okay. What do I know about?
If you're not sure right now, I might go to David and you can tell us what the promise is after.
Yeah, go ahead and go to David because I have to look at this.
But also remember that you mark the power circle, that little square just above your power stat, as for having triggered the intimacy move with someone from power. All right, so Cathy, Mark Zheng's note has directed you to the place that he says Cleopatra has her sort of lair or tomb. So you are looking at an ancient Egyptian obelisk that sits on the bank of the Thames. It was transported to Britain in the 1800s on a custom-built ship called the Cleopatra. It hit rough seas, 6 men were lost, the crew were evacuated to another vessel, but it survived and made it to London. It was placed here on the bank of the Thames. There are 2 sphinxes that guard it, but strangely, normally the sphinxes would be placed looking away from the thing they guard to protect it from things outside. These sphinxes look in at the obelisk as if they're guarding the outside world from something within. There have been numerous reports, you just know this from, talking to people, hearing about it, of unearthly laughter coming from the obelisk at night. There have been at least 2 ghosts that multiple witnesses have reported. Alistair Crowley once organised a ritual here. It's a real, spooky place. And about 100 years ago, there was a story about a woman named Miss Davies who felt herself sort of overcome by an unearthly force as she walked by the obelisk. And sort of against her will, she threw herself into the water. She heard this unearthly laughter. And afterwards, in the hospital recovering, she repeatedly dreamed of a tall woman with a white face and sharp pointed teeth. The obelisk is called Cleopatra's Needle. And I just want to be clear, this is a real place, and everything I just told you is a historical fact, or at least real urban legend. So, yeah, Mark Zheng has told you that Cleopatra's lair is beneath the needle. But you also know that the whole neighborhood, this part of the Thames, it is vampire territory. Vampire clan linked to the hippie vampire witches that have been making trouble for you. Consider this their territory. And if you're caught sneaking into a vampire's lair here, that would mean even more trouble for you. So what's your plan? What are you going to do?
All right. Well, let me think then. Now, her lair, is it the obelisk proper, or is it the neighborhood?
Something beneath the obelisk. There's some sort of tomb or chamber that she's carved out down there.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Just as a mechanical suggestion, because we're still getting our heads around the moves. You're welcome to study a place of power about the sort of vampire neighborhood generally, and see if you can find anything useful that way. Or you can just try and see if you can find someone to help you out. You can just try and you're a ghost. You can invisibly, intangibly just go right in if you want to try that.
Right. Yeah, let's start with studying a place of power. So I roll with the controlling circle, which is night. I think I have a +1, I think.
Yeah, so let's just talk about what this means fictionally. It's a whole neighborhood. So what is it that you're doing to study the neighborhood?
So it's the neighborhood proper.
Yeah. So I did check about this. It sounds like it makes sense that you would the obelisk itself would be the place of power, but it's got to belong to a group or faction, not just an individual.
Okay, got it. I think, and well, let me actually see what I can possibly learn from this, because I want to make sure that what I do tracks to the effect.
I mean, the obvious thing to do is just like hang around in the neighborhood for a few hours or days or something like that, like watch and observe.
Yeah, well, yeah, I plan to be non-manifested, so I'm essentially
Mhm.
invisible, and I especially want to kind of hang around the town or the neighborhood at night and just kind of watch the people, like the mortals. And I'm trying to get a feel for like which of these people are being fed on, which of these are thralls of vampires or otherwise show up vampirically in some way. And I'm just trying to get a feel for the no pun intended, the pulse of the neighborhood.
All right, that makes sense. So you're going to spend what one or like a night doing that, a few hours, like how? What sort of span of fictional time is this covering?
I think a night is
Yeah,
adequate.
wait. All right, yeah. So go ahead and roll with your rating with night.
Okay. I gotta get Google pulled up here to do that. Okay. Okay, so that is not good, I don't think. No, that is a 4 total.
A 4 total.
Yeah.
Okay. So you definitely, I think in that case, you definitely do like see. Well, actually, you see a mortal being fed on. You get there too late to have prevented it entirely, but you arrive intangibly in an alleyway. Two vampires have dragged, you know, a guy looks like he's, you know, come for a drink in the area after work. He's been dragged into this alley. They've pinned him to the wall. They've, you know, exposed their fangs. It's all about to happen. And we'll come back to you in a minute and find out what you do. Vicente, did you think about what promise you're going to demand?
Yeah. So, back when I created my character, I grabbed a debt from the City Hub from Anushka, a student radical who's learned to walk in dreams, and which is where the whole dream traveling rival came from. So I'm going to ask. Anushka has learned to walk in dreams, has not learned to do it safely or cautiously, like at all, and is pretty clueless. So, and owes me because I like protected them from Ivar at some point, like from being, you know, trapped in a dream and possessed. So I am going to ask for the promise to like keep an eye on them.
Maximus, do you refuse the promise or will you promise to do that?
Of course I can do that.
Cool.
All right. So after your rendezvous at the Werewolf Sex Club, where will you go next?
It's just a romance novel in the title right there.
Maximus, what is on your agenda to do?
I mean, Vicente just asked me to do surveillance on Anushka. That was what you meant by keep an eye on them, right? Whereabouts does Anushka work?
I don't think she.
Or like live. I mean, sorry, yeah, live.
Yeah, like in student accommodation, like somewhere near one of the big universities. Sorry, I'm revealing how little I know about London. Yes,
I know nothing about London. Never been there.
I'm sorry, but as the Australian, I assumed that you knew everything about London.
Yeah, so you can like be the older man lurking creepily around a university, spying on the students. That's gonna go over well.
I mean, Anushka,
I have a professor look. Don't worry.
Good.
I mean, Anushka's also a student radical, so must be going to, meetings of the Socialist Party, whatever the communist, whatever the New Left movement of the era is. Some sort of radical meetings as well.
Oh yeah, and I have a move that applies right here. When I follow an NPC through the streets of the city, I roll with mind.
Okay. So you're going to
If you want
follow.
me to roll that, because I think I am tailing Anushka for
Yeah, I think
Vicente.
that makes sense. Well, do you do that? Like, when is that going to happen? Like, are you going to do it during the day? Are you going to do it at night? Like, when?
I assume it's probably at night when I assume organizational meetings are actually happening.
Okay. So you're following her, what, from a meeting to a meeting? Doesn't really matter to you.
I think probably to a meeting because I probably have the dorm staked out.
Okay. Cool. Well, yeah, let's roll this move. What happens? How does it work?
Let's see. I get a. Okay, I'm glad I'm keeping to my strategy of rolling as low as I can. I got a 6 total.
Wow.
So here's the thing. On a miss, my prey leads me exactly where they want me. Brace
Yeah.
myself for the closing jaws of a trap.
That rules. I know exactly where we're going with that. I'll come back to you. Vicente, so you basically agreed to, like, try and find out about Anthony and this drug stuff. What are you going to do?
Cool. We've just switched people to spy on. Excellent. Drugs. Who do I know who would be? Oh, who probably has is very well hooked into drug dealers. Elias.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm gonna go see him and ask if he knows anything about this.
Okay. Okay. So where do you meet Elias? So, well, if you don't have an idea in mind,
I don't have a specific place in mind.
Okay, so it's not as Londonish as we're supposed to be framing it, but I imagine Elias, who channels his trauma and angst into experimental films, as a sort of Warhol type. So I think that he also has his equivalent of the factory. There's a big former warehouse in London where he produces his work. Lots of strange artists, young queer people, young drug dealers, etc., hang out there for the glamour. And yeah, you can probably find Elias there.
Excellent. Yeah.
Have you been before, or will this be the first time that you?
Oh no, I definitely have been there before. But yeah, I think. What is he doing when I get there?
I think they must be screening his latest movie. Well, I've made him a Warhol type, so it's probably an 8-hour reel of Big Ben or something like that. So yeah, there's a film screening happening. There's some people sort of half paying attention to it. It's clear that not much happens in this movie. Maybe you suspect some occult significance to whatever's being depicted, but it's very static and tedious. Mostly the people in the audience aren't paying very much attention. Probably, lots of heads turn when someone new, being you, comes in.
Okay.
Sitting at the back, smoking a cigarette, not really paying attention to his own film.
Right. Yeah. So I, come up to him like, okay, talk to you, and actually, this probably is pretty private. Nobody's even looking.
I think that someone
How
who's
stoned
actually
are these
trying to
people?
watch the film, somebody who's actually trying to watch the film turns around and shushes you, even though there's no audio.
Right. There's no sound currently in the movie, but
That's right.
Cool. Yeah. So can I talk to you outside for just a minute?
He sort of shrugs and follows you away. Maybe direct someone to keep an eye on the projector.
Yeah. Make sure the film doesn't melt.
Yes.
So I've heard there's this new drug, and it might seem weird for me to be asking for it or about it because I can do this without it. But do you know who I could get some from?
I don't know. I guess you're hitting the streets, right? You're hitting the streets to get what you need.
Yes,
So
that is what I'm doing.
Sorry, I'm a step behind. Go ahead and roll with the circle. What his circle is Mortalis, I think.
I like that Vicente expected a debt from me for doing the thing that I could easily have done.
Yeah, I'm just collecting debts on you so they can pull them out at a very inconvenient time later, I'm sure. He's Mortalis. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that also means you can mark Mortalis on the event.
Cool.
Track.
It's 7.
7. What do you? Let's see. On a hit, they're available and have the stuff, so he knows. But you have to choose one. He's either juggling his own problems or whatever you need is more costly than anticipated. What
I'm sure he's juggling his own problems. Who isn't?
Fair. All right. So we're about at the top of the hour, so I reckon this is a good place to take our break. We'll come back in 10 minutes if that's good for everyone.
Yeah.
Sweet. I'll see you in 10. All right. Everyone good to pick it up? All right. Cathy, this poor guy is about to be vampire dinner unless you do something. Are you going to do something or are you going to let them feed?
I will try to do something.
All right. What's going to happen?
So I would like to, if I'm naming the move, mislead, distract, or trick. And what I would like to do is distract the vampire assailants in order to present an opportunity for the mortal to get away.
So you're going to have to manifest to do that, right?
Yes.
How will you manifest?
I would like to, let's see how that looks here. Yeah, here we go.
You can be seen, heard, or touched.
Heard.
Choose 2 of those 3.
Okay.
Mark trauma 2.
I was thinking heard and seen, but not touched.
Okay.
And what I would kind of like to do, if I can paint a picture, is I'm manifesting into the outfit that I was wearing when I died, which is sort of the default outfit that I just naturally go into. So it basically is me in a blood-stained nightgown that is otherwise white. And I would like to essentially start flickering on and off in a fast, almost strobe effect as I stalk down the alleyway while whispers emerge from kind of all over the place. Other people, when they hear about this, if they know who I am, they're going to be like, God damn it, that was Cathy. But these guys, I don't know. It's up to you if they know who I am or not.
Sure. Well, yeah, go ahead and roll to mislead, distract, or trick someone. That's with mind.
Mind? I think that's my good stat, right?
I'm not sure.
Plus, no, it's my no. Spirit's my good stat. Mine is a really bad stat. Damn it! I should have looked. It sounded like such a cool idea, but I have a -1. Oh, okay. We'll try it. Here we go. That is, I kid you not, it was a 7, but -1 is 6.
I mean, in that case, one of the vampires turns towards you and says, well, actually, they don't say anything. They just watch you while the other one like sinks its fangs into this guy's mouth and tears his throat and tears his arteries open. Blood sprays across the alleyway. There's a scream as this person dies. And the vampire that's looking at you says to her partner, hey, Susie, do you think ghosts bleed? I bet they do. What do you do?
I mean, I guess I'll just kind of say, try, see if you can lay a hand on me. And I almost kind of like offer my wrist to them. Like I'm not even corporeal at this point, unless they have some way of pulling that from me, I think.
Sure. So I think that's what will happen. They'll, sort of come at you, slash through your intangible form, get frustrated, and growl some threats that are ineffective. But I think that your corruption trigger is when you witness a scene of violence or victimization and do nothing. I think if you've let this, you tried to intervene, but now this person has been harmed, has been killed. And unless you do something to intervene, I think you're going to mark corruption.
Okay.
Does that sound right?
Yes. Yeah. And doing nothing, are we ruling that as I was ineffective at intervening?
Well, I think like you came upon them before the violence happened. You tried to intervene. It didn't work. So a scene of violence and victimization unfolded. And now, having witnessed that scene, it's the time now that we decide if you're doing something or not.
Oh, doing something about it. Okay, that makes sense.
Do you want me to come back to you and you can think about it?
Yeah, do that.
All right. So, Maximus, you followed Anushka as promised. You followed her all the way to her Marxist reading group, which probably meets all of your stereotypes about the kinds of young people who would go to a group like this, just dirty hippies, unshaven, middle class. But you are surprised when it turns out that everyone expects you to give the speech at this reading group today. Everyone looks at you as if they've all, they're all expecting you to have a prepared speech ready about political economy and, Marx's critiques. And as you sort of, you realize that everyone's looking at you, you realize you have no clothes on, and that's when it hits you that you're in a dream.
Yeah, I kind of got it from
if not before.
Yeah.
Anushka will look at you and say, did you really think that you could follow me without me noticing? Who are you?
You could say I'm a friend of a friend, and we don't really know where I get it, but I take out a cigarette. It's a dream.
Sure.
And start to smoke. Sorry, do you mind me smoking in this dream?
I don't think anyone in the 60s minds people smoking, right? Of course. Smoke away. Right now you're having a mild stress dream, but it could be much worse. Why don't you tell me what you're doing here? Who put you up to this?
Yeah, I know, but I think I say, it was that young lad Vicente. He thinks he has his heart in the right place, but he thinks you can't take care of yourself.
God damn it, Vicente. How do I know you're telling the truth?
Well, you could always follow up with him, but I suppose the question here is, what do I need to do to convince you that I'm on your side? And I'm going to try to figure her out.
Okay. Yeah, roll with mind.
Yeah, I'm sure this will go just as well. Let's see. Okay. See, I'm really good at doing stuff that like involves no action or like tangible fictional results. I got a 13 on this.
Oh wow! And I think you're. What circle are you in?
I'm in power.
Right. I think she's probably still Mortalis. I don't know.
Yeah, I did. I thought I was assuming she was Mortalis.
Yeah.
Just
So on a 13, you can ask 2 of those questions.
Yeah. Basic moves. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the first question. How can I get your character to believe me?
How can I get your character to believe me? Well, you could tell me something Vicente wouldn't want me to know. I think that, sorry, it's not a verbal exchange, is it? You think that, you would have to tell her something about Vicente that she doesn't already know.
Well, I could think of a number of things, but knowing Vicente, I assume you've already seen him naked.
Want to ask another question?
Yeah, I'll get back to that. But the other question, I guess, here is, no, she could be useful to me. How can I put your character in my debt?
Okay, what does she want? So there's some sort of sorry, I'm thinking out loud. I would love anyone to throw in ideas along this path with me if you have any. So they're a protest group. There must be some sort of organization that they want to protest, maybe like war profiteers. She would be indebted to you if you could get her information about the layout of the munitions factory on the other side of town. But obviously that's confidential, maybe even classified information. It would be certainly a scandal for your father if it got out that you'd helped a student radical group with something like that. Do you feel like those were like fair answers to your questions?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly have an idea now that will certainly earn me some corruption. But first off, what would I know? So she wants to know something about Vicente that she doesn't already know.
So I don't. It's not like the way this move works. It's not that she's told you what you've got to do.
I know, but I'm just trying to recall
Yeah.
your wording. Like, is it that she wants? Like, I'm trying to figure out here. Is it that she wants more information about Vicente than she already has? That I'm getting the sense, or that she wants me to confirm something she knows about him.
I think it's sorry. Maybe I didn't phrase this the best way. She wants you to tell her something about Vicente that's like not obvious or that not everyone.
Okay, I see.
More
okay.
than just Vicente is Fae, which anyone who's knows that. But yeah, does that make sense?
Okay, right. Okay. I'm gonna ask that to Vicente. Like, what do I know about you, Vicente?
Other than that, let's see.
I have a pitch here for you as well. I mean, this is a bit repetitive.
I
but
am open to
maybe
pitches.
well, more of a pitch for Maximus. Maybe you want to try and figure out Vicente right now, like thinking about what you know
I mean,
about.
I think I do know. Like, Vicente has a, because this is something I more or less know about you, about your patron, and that you have a negative relationship with him. Vicente has a patron that he is trying to break with, and I've helped him look into that in the past. Now, as to you, well, I can see someone with your skill could be very useful to someone in my line of work. I happen to know that there are names of people that you would not see on any official government records, but they have residences here in the city that if you or your group wanted to break into, try to get more about them, you'd be more than welcome to. I would just be prepared before you go in. And I name off a few of the Council of Wizards I answer to.
Oh, well, that is going to do some corruption.
Yeah, I know. I get a mark of corruption for that.
Is that going to break any of your vows?
I mean,
I don't know if that.
let me see here. I think that my corruption move is when I break one of my vows to work against my master, and I think it is always protect members of power from harm and never reveal my faction secrets.
Yeah.
I'm definitely doing
You're
that.
breaking them.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
I get a mark 1 corruption.
Yeah. How does it feel to break your vows? Like, is that something that you've done before and comes easily, or is this the first tiny little step on a path that could lead somewhere really dark?
I think this is the first time I've broken the vows in a meaningful way. Like, I think that this is the first time that I have broken the vows in a way that, like, furthers my own interests.
Okay. Interesting. And the addresses that you've given her, like, are they linked to the war, or like these wizards individually? How do they connect to the sort of issues that she's concerned
I
about?
think because the wizards, in their ties to the government, do have ties to military contractors. They're the names. They're not the names that appear on the contracts or on the CEOs of the companies, but they provide services to all these companies in their relationship with the government.
All right. She'll accept that. You can mark it that she owes you a debt. But she's going to say, all right, fine. I'm going to let you get away with this time, but don't try and follow me again. And the dream ends. Maybe you wake up in your bed.
I mean, I do say next time, maybe set some boundaries with Vicente.
All right, and that's the way the dream ends. She's taking a debt on you because she has, agreed to overlook a harm you've done them. She's not going to retaliate.
Okay.
Followed her.
I'm also getting a debt on her, though.
Yes, that's right. I'm just gonna. I need somewhere that I can write down all my debts, but I'll just put it here for now.
Oh yeah, that's something I should have. There should be like a GM debt tracker in this character keeper.
Yeah, I guess I can add it to the NPCs tab, but for now I'm just going to put it in my notes. All right. So let's go to Vicente. So Elias takes a long drag of his cigarette and he says, for me, this is all about the art. There's been some success, some fame, but I don't care about those things. Fame and wealth only get in the way, but they attract unwanted attention sometimes. And a demon named Mammon has attached himself to the warehouse. I'm retired from demon hunting, but if someone could get rid of Mammon, I really appreciate it. Certainly, I could see if I can find you out the information that you need.
All right. See what I can do about that. Sure. Okay. Get rid of a demon from a warehouse. Yeah, no problem.
Excellent. Would you like to come in and watch the movie with us?
Just one second. Does the warehouse have to be intact afterward?
I need a warehouse. I don't necessarily need this warehouse. But if you destroyed this one, I would expect you to replace it.
I mean, in that case, why don't you just move to a new warehouse now?
Well,
If the problem is
the problem is the demon. The demon can move. The demon's in the warehouse.
So the demon is following you, not attached to the warehouse. That's important information.
It's attached to the whole scene, to the art. It's spreading its.
Oh, it's a fan. You're saying.
I wouldn't put it that way. No.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
All right.
Seems easy.
Okay. Well, he will finish his cigarette, light another, and head back inside. What do you do?
All right. I suppose I need to figure out what to do about this demon. How does one normally get a hold of a demon? Like, is this a summoning thing? Is he just hanging around, or is there a specific place in the warehouse that I would know to look for?
Well, I don't know. How much have you had to do with demons before? I think
not a lot. I mean, okay, there was at night, but other than that, not a lot.
Of course. I mean, there's not really a move for just like what or anything like that.
Okay.
I think. I think you'd have to make a circle move to see what you know. So either hit the streets to find someone who can tell you, or you can treat the warehouse as a place of power.
I think I'll do that.
Okay. So I guess Elias is Mortalis.
Yeah.
So.
Well, am I studying? I guess the place of power is Mortalis, though, not what are demons? Okay, cool.
So what are you doing to study the warehouse? Like, is this archival research at the library? Is it some magical, scrying? What do you do?
I think it's more magical scrying. I think I'm staying in the warehouse and looking for I want to say tracks, but I don't mean like physical tracks of a demon, but you know, there's something left in the ether that
Yeah.
indicates
So like
the demons.
opening some magical senses kind of thing.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Go ahead and roll.
That is one house, which is that's 12.
Nice. Your insight. So on a hit, you see below the surface, reveal something that is not what it seems, and on a 10 plus, you can ask a question about Mortalis and take +1 forward. All right, I will come back to you. Think about how you want to use those questions. Cathy, what did you decide? Are you going to do something about these vampires?
I would like to strike them with an ectoplasmic blast, yes.
Oh, interesting. All right. So that means letting it out, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Now this I do roll with my good stats, so let's see how it goes here.
And you have the advanced version of the move?
Yes. 8 total. I rolled a natural 5. The dice are really not great so far, but 8 total.
Okay, so, and we established last time that you can use this on more than one target in a precise way, which is convenient. Okay, so mark corruption and activate the ability. I will tell you how the effect is costly, limited, or unstable. Okay. I'm not totally sure what it means for it to be costly, limited, or unstable to zap some vampires with your ectoplasmic blast.
Blast yourself.
I think.
Cause.
Well, no, I think
like,
the cost is going to be like you'll take them out of this scene. They're going to be like shaken and hurt, but at least one of them is going to get away, and it's going to put you on the radar of this faction. Whoever their masters are going to. That's the costliness.
Well, that might still get me one step closer to a meeting with Cleopatra.
All right. So are you content to just leave them lying on the street, or what will you do?
Well, I mean, I think I might tell me if this feels out of, like, this wouldn't work in the setting, but I was gonna just like threaten one of them to grant me an interview with Cleopatra.
So you like sort of shake one of them, or well, you're intangible.
If I need to go full manifest, I can mark trauma and do that.
Yeah, you're welcome to do that. Actually, I think that before you get the chance to do that, you realize that someone's watching you, and see that Cleopatra is standing in the mouth of the alleyway watching what you're doing. And she says, I assume if you've come all this way, you were looking for me anyway. Would you like to get a drink?
What could either of us possibly agree on to drink? But yes, you are the one I've been looking for.
All right. So she'll take you to a bar. This part of town, it'll be a vampire bar, but they'll have other drinks as well. She'll somewhat apologetically say that she's not sure if someone in your condition drinks anymore. But do you want anything?
I can imbibe. I mean, I'll manifest fully. I'll mark trauma to do it, and red wine sounds fine. Thank you.
All right. She'll get you a very nice glass of red wine. It looks disturbingly close to the glass of blood that she takes, but she'll lead you to a, relatively private booth in the corner of the bar, and sit down and ask you why you've come here.
You have something of mine that Well, you have something that belongs to me.
That is no way to talk about Thomas.
Well, I was referring to the dagger I believe you possess.
Oh, excuse me. How embarrassing. You want the dagger?
It does belong to me.
I don't know what makes you think that.
I don't have a choice. You and I both know that I am tied to that dagger, and it is tied to me. It is part of me. So please don't deny me that.
And if I give you the dagger, then what?
Then we're okay. I don't owe you for this. It's mine.
Well, you would have to convince me to give you it. I don't believe that it's yours. You're not the one who gave it to me. I don't see why your claim is any greater than mine. I might owe you for some of the things you showed Thomas how to do, but not enough to give you that.
Can I do like a figure you out move here?
Sure. Roll
I'm
with
not very
mind.
good at that either, because that also rolls with
Uh-huh.
mind. But you know, this I could at least maybe have some ideas as to questions here. So can I roll that?
Yeah, and I think you're in the same circle, so you're going to get at least one question even if you miss.
Right. Okay. So here we go. This with a -1. Yeah, no, that's a natural 6. So I got a 5.
All right. So which question do you want to ask? Because you do still get one, even on your miss. Or maybe I'll come back and you can think about what question you want to ask.
How about this? I mean, I'll ask a question, and if you have an answer, great. But otherwise, we can come back to it. How could I put Cleopatra in my debt?
Oh, interesting. Um,
Because I know what she
well,
wants. She just wants Thomas, probably. Like if I was like, well, how, you know, she would just say, oh, well, I'll trade you the dagger for Thomas, but that's not a trade I'm willing to make. So I'm trying to see if there's a way I can put her in my debt.
sure. I mean, she might also think that she already has Thomas, but okay,
Sure.
we'll come back to you. Maximus, you wake up in your own bed. What do you do?
Remind myself why people don't do favors for Vicente. I mean, I'm sure Vicente has used his very advanced investigation skills to uncover something that I could not have in 5 minutes. So I suppose we probably have some kind of, or let's see. I have strings on Cathy and Mark and Anushka. But I'm just trying to think if there's a way to like rope Cathy into all this, so I'm not just so that she's actually part of the same story. I guess it makes more sense that I should have some kind of scene with Vicente, even if we want to like play it loose with that, because I know we have only like 20-30 minutes left.
Well, do you want to try and meet back up with Vicente, who
Yeah,
probably
let's do
would
that.
enjoy your help with dealing with the the demon problem?
Yes, I meet back up with Vicente. Uh
Also, just before we sort of like have that scene, let's just
yes.
resolve the move that Vicente rolled earlier. So on a hit, you've seen below the surface. I mean, what you see is Mammon itself, right? There's this, like when you sort of unlock your Fey senses, you see this demon. It appears as this sort of like vast and oily red flesh that covers everything, like tons of eyes peering out in every direction. Smells like piles of money. Uh, Terrible smell of money and sulfur, I guess. Um,
Cool.
Plus, your insight reveals something about the circle's politics and schemes. Ask a question about the circle. What do you want to know about Mortalis?
About their politics and schemes. Wow. I don't know anything about their politics and schemes. It's like the one thing I'm not involved in any way.
If you don't have a specific question, I mean, yeah, the session's going to end in 20 minutes, so I don't know if you want to like just hold that if it comes up later, or I'll volunteer something about the
Just
circle.
volunteer something. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that what you realize is that, what Elias said was really self-serving and dishonest. He is extremely motivated by fame to the point that he's been leaking information that he shouldn't about the supernatural to human journalists to curry their favor.
Cool.
And you have +1 forward when acting on the answer if you decide to do that.
Excellent.
All right. So you've arranged to meet back up with Maximus somewhere relatively close, I assume. You have this demon that you can deal with for the information you want. You also have something that could be leverage against Elias if you decide to go that way. Vicente, what do you tell? Oh, sorry, Maximus, what do you tell Vicente about, or do you tell Vicente about what happened with Anushka?
Anushka says that while she is grateful to you for your the care you and interest you take in her life, she would rather resolve her problems without your involvement.
I would love to let her do that. The problem is that she is she is making herself a conduit for things that inhabit dreams. One of which I have some problems with. If she would just learn to do it more carefully, then I would be happy to just let her sort it out. But at least now I know why she's been avoiding me. Oh. So I want to talk to Elias, who would not tell me who is supplying the drug until I deal with the demon who's taken over his warehouse.
Mm-hmm. Elias, who I also know.
Oh, good. Because I was going to tell you who he was, but cool. Good. So you know where that warehouse is, and yeah, it's. I mean, it almost is the demon at this point. Anyway, I have to deal with that first.
All right. Thank you, Vicente. It's, as always, our encounters are fascinating. I think it's fine closing the scene there, because I am going to, I guess, get into contact with Cathy, because apparently I need someone who can clear out demons, I guess.
Okay, so you're going to do that. So, all right, you. All right, we'll hold off on that until we resolve the scene with
Yeah.
Cleopatra. Vicente, are you happy with that? So Maximus has decided to enlist Cathy's help to resolve this.
Sure. Yeah, it's not like I had a plan for dealing with the demon.
All right.
Sounds like I'm off the hook.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because this obviously doesn't seem like it's going to get resolved before the end of the session. If you wanted to come back next week and like follow it up there, that I think would work. Or if you just want to leave it for these poor unfortunates to deal with, also fine.
It occurs to me that I have introduced some problems here.
As well you should.
Yeah, I'd love to come back.
All right. That sounds great. So, Cathy, you'd asked about like what you could do to put Cleopatra in your debt. So she's going to tell you that she's doing some work for a client in the near future. The client has a meeting at a particular time and date, a few days from now, and she wants to make sure that Maximus does not come to the meeting specifically. If you keep Maximus away, make sure that Maximus is somewhere else for this hour, should be in your debt.
Is she willing to disclose anything more detailed about what the meeting is, or why Maximus might have an issue with it, or anything along those lines?
Do you ask?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but you also rolled a miss on this move, so I am going to turn the move back on you. So, in this moment when you're trying to figure her out, she also is trying to figure you out. So, the question that I put to you, what does your character worry is going to happen?
Well, I mean, the thing I'm most worried of is that she either kills or embraces Thomas, if that's kind of what you're getting at, like
Yeah.
longer term worries like that.
Sure. I mean, that works. She gets a little half smile as she gets that insight into what's driving you. So she'll tell you that the client's name is Eva. That she's not sure who Eva is meeting with exactly, but she believes it's someone from the propitious order. I can't remember their full name. That'll do. That she expects you to keep this confidential. She doesn't want to hurt Thomas, but she would if you cause problems for it. And all that she needs is for Maximus to not find out about the meeting or come to the meeting. she'd exchange the dagger for that afterwards.
Right, interesting. And did you say, Shane, where and when the meeting was taking place?
So I've left it like fictionally vague, but in a few days' time.
Okay.
Soon.
And there's a location to it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that we can specifics later, kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I'll drink to that, I say, as
All
I
right.
raise my glass.
So as Cathy, I've never had a ghost. I bet it feels amazing.
I don't know anyone who has. And I just give her this very cold expression.
Oh, I can see you've never had a vampire either. That's all right.
I've only had one person. And I intend to keep it that way, Cleopatra.
Easy to say now, but see if you feel that way in a century or two. Life can get very long once you're dead. And I think unless you want
I
to
think that's a
react in
great
some
line
way,
to end on.
Yeah. So I think that makes sense as a place to leave it for this week. If we're going to come back, get everyone together to try and deal with the demon, we'll have Zeke back next time as well. We'll do stars and wishes, but I'll just end the recording first.
There is an end of session move that we haven't been doing. I forgot.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. Do you know where on the Keeper it is?
I think it might be, let's see. It's, I don't know, it should be here.
I might just read it off my play sheets.
Yeah, if you go there, it should be like there's at the end of the session, you select one circle that you know more about and one that you know less about.
Right.
And you get to mark one of them. It's kind of the XP for showing up.
Okay, so each of you, as Stephen says, at the end of every session, decide if you've grown closer to a circle you engage with this session. Increase your score in that circle and decrease your score in a different circle. Tell the MC how your relationships to these communities have changed because of the events of the story, and mark one of the two circles involved in those changes. Does that make sense to everyone?
What tab is this on?
I'm not sure what tab it's on. I'm reading off my the actual play sheet from the game.
Oh, okay.
So what you need to do is choose a circle that you engage with this session. I mean, for you, that's pretty much got to be night, I think. Increase your score with that circle and decrease your score with another circle. Tell the MC how your relationship to these communities have changed because of the events of the story. And you also mark one of the two circles involved in those changes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and when you say mark, is that the checkbox above or below the circle?
So yes, exactly. So marking one of the checkboxes above. And again, once you get all four of those marked, you get an advance. So I might just go left to right for this. So Vicente, which circle will you increase that you've engaged with this session?
Mortal.
Cool.
Olive. Engaged with.
And which circle will you decrease?
Demons are wild, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm going to decrease wild because it has been brought home to me very clearly that I don't know as much about demons as I thought I did.
Okay, cool. And that means you also mark wild.
Okay.
Cool. In addition, this is the other part of the end of session move. Think about any debts you may owe or debts owed to you as a result of the session. Tell the group and note them down for next time. This is just supposed to be like if anything happened in the session that we didn't like mark a debt for at the time but should have, you can do that if you think it's true. David, for Cathy, I think the only circle that you really engage with this session is night.
Right.
So, do you feel you've grown closer to that circle?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm more enmeshed with them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so increase your score with Knight. So that's the actual sort of stat number.
So I take that up to a 2.
And choose another circle that you're going to decrease your score with.
I selected power and I decreased that to a 0.
Okay. So tell the MC how your relationship to these communities have changed because of the event of the story. So I think we know about, well, no, tell us about Knight and Power.
Yeah, I mean, so for Knight, I'm more enmeshed with them. I'm doing sort of work for Cleopatra and making deals with her and becoming, for better or for worse, known around vampire territory. And then for power, I'm reducing that because I agreed to kind of screw over Maximus a little bit, and I imagine that I'm kind of alienating myself from those people in a way by doing so.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you can mark one of those circles.
Yep, I'm marking power.
All right. And Maximus, what about you?
I am marking. I'm increasing mortality. I'm decreasing power because I definitely screwed with power a little bit in favor of mortality. I'm marking power.
Cool. All right. So that will be the end of the recording, and we'll talk about Stars and Wishes afterwards.